Welcome to Colonize the Ocean podcast, where we discuss oceanic colonization, exploration, and education with your hosts Adam Jewell and Brendon Traxler.
Good evening, everybody, or if you're listening to the podcast, I guess good whatever time you're listening to this. But yeah, it's just Babe and I tonight. So, how's it going, Babe?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's been I don't think it's been like a month now since we've been on here and did one of these.
Yeah.
I was, as you can see, the backdrop's a little different. I was doing some rearranging and I got a new desk, and it's got a workspace area over here where I've got set up working on the AI box for the
Nice.
AI underwater data center. I got a camera set up over here, but the camera showed up as in black and white for some reason. So I said, oh, whatever. Well, I'll figure it out before I show it off. But working on that, but I'm doing some programming on that. Trying to see if this one's actually going to work. I'm going to go out and buy something a little nicer. I'll know here in a couple of days. But that has nothing to do about what we're talking about here. So what's been going on with you in the last month?
In the last month, well, I always stay busy because of my future plans right now.
Yes.
But I've been looking into furthering scuba, just furthering my scuba. I don't want to say career because that isn't right, but
Yeah, what is the right word? We were talking about this beforehand, before we went live here about what you're working on there. But it's would it be considered a vocation?
I guess it could. And my hopes in the future are to lay
Yeah,
off what I call a normal job right now because of where I am, and make that more of a normal job somewhere. That'd be awesome.
yeah.
So
So I guess you can tell people what. So what is what are you working on?
I'm just working on getting specialties to eventually get up to master scuba, because as long as I've been scuba diving, I should already have done all this. But at the same time, when all the specialties came out as, especially for this, especially for that, I understand why. But at the same time, it's like I've already been doing that stuff for years. Why do I need a specialty in
Right.
it? So now I'm going to be that old man that caves and, okay, I'm going to play the game just because I love doing it. So
Yeah.
why not? Why not?
But it's interesting you had brought that up because just as last week I drove. So every Friday when I do some running around stuff like that, I drive by the dive store here, which is out of the way for everything else, but my path takes me by it. So I was like, man, I really need to do something. I need to get some kind of cert on something different than just like basic open water, which is all I have. So I need to advance that. So I've been thinking about doing something different and adding to it as well. I just haven't decided what that's going to be yet. But yeah, I think I'm sure a lot of the people that consume our content, either dive or obviously have an interest in the ocean. So
Yeah.
I think this kind of stuff is probably interesting to them, and probably there's quite a few people that'll chime in that are divers at different levels and have different certs
Yeah.
and stuff along those lines too. So yeah, it's always, let's say, whether it's a career or not, advancing your knowledge in something,
Yeah.
I think is beneficial. There was saying you should learn something new every day type of thing, and with this as well, it's even if it's a hobby, you should be perfecting that hobby and taking it to the next
Yep.
level always. So that's cool that you're doing that. But the thing is, it's not a cheap hobby by any means.
No.
So that's one of the big things that hold a lot of people back from going too far with it, is because it's not cheap.
It's a personal goals. That's one
Yeah.
of the, that's what it is a lot for me. Because
Yeah. So we really left this open, this live stream open tonight. There was no, as you can tell, there's no title, there's no basic anything behind it. We just want to kind of hadn't been in for a while, so we decided let's hop in here, let's open it up, let's talk. There's been different things going on that we can discuss. You and me had was it 2 weeks ago? We had a business meeting. Going over some stuff that's been going on and future goals and stuff along those lines, changes to potential, the way we do some things. But over this past weekend, as a lot of you may notice, either from seasteading or follow seasteading as well. And if you don't, it's an interesting concept, basically, for those new to all of this, and maybe catching some of this for the first time. Is the idea of seasteading is the idea. A lot of it is political, but really it's building and living, off land. Most of it is in floating houses, or the idea is floating cities eventually and stuff along those lines. A lot of it, once again, I say, is political, because the end goal obviously is your own government, that type of stuff. But and so anyway, so we communicate with them. We're friendly with them. Anyway, they had the Zoom call this past Saturday. It was all about how the seasteading group can help further all these other different startups that are out there trying to do stuff as far as marketing, and how can they promote them and stuff along those lines. And so there wasn't too many people in it, so it wasn't really a long or really in-depth thing. It was just more informational. However, and I had not planned on talking. I was actually at the bookstore that day, and I was on the Zoom. And so my camera wasn't on, anything like that. And they're like, "Hey, Brendon, what's going on?" And some guy, we all introduced ourselves. And I said, my name is Brendon Trax. I'm with ASC. We're working on underwater habitats. So this one guy's like, "Hey, Brendon, I want to talk to you." So he took over the Zoom, and we were talking for a little while. So he's got he knows, he has some contacts and stuff like that. So we'll see. I don't know if what that is, or where that's going, but I added him on LinkedIn. So we're going to talk and see what comes of that.
Cool.
Yeah, it's only, that's why I always try to join these things, because it's one of those things you just never know who you're going to run into in these different environments. Because with since these are such a niche and small groups of people trying to do this type of stuff, there's few and far between out there. So any opportunity we've got to network with these type of people, it's great. So that's something that just recently happened in the last few days. I thought I'd bring to people's attention.
Exciting.
Go check out the seasteadings.org if you're interested in that type of stuff. Just Google it, whatever. But what's some of the stuff we talked about in the business meeting last time that we can go over? I don't want to give out too much stuff, but we talked about the AI server thing that I'm working on. That's going to be hopefully going live this summer, which will be ASC's own little test into underwater habitats in the format of a very scaled down version of an underwater server. Just once again, it's a marketing thing. It's something tangible for people to get to interact with, because I'm going to try to make it open so that people can access it. It'll be more of like a chat GPT style interface where you can ask it questions and stuff like that. So, I mean, what little I played around with it, it's really cool. So now I'm just getting one set up strictly for that purpose and seeing how it runs. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's one side here with me doing all the talking here. I don't want to steal your thunder there. If you're frothing at the bit to hop in here and talk away.
No, I've forgotten. I'll apologize publicly on air. That Marty sent me a link for an article about underwater servers.
Was it the Microsoft one?
I'm not sure. I every time I've gone to open it, did he send it to you too?
Yeah, he sent me something. So I'm assuming it's probably the same one. Yeah, it was talking about Microsoft's data server, and obviously the comments was full of just negativity. So I chimed in there on a bunch of them. We're commenting on several of them, but it was more of like a YouTube short is what it was.
Okay.
But it was really a minute-long thing talking about underwater data centers and how that plays out. So yeah, once again, it was good to see, but unfortunately, it was filled with negativity. So I tried to go in there and try to. I didn't put a lot into it. I didn't want to, say too much, but I did comment on a couple of different people. Also, I've been talking with. Not trying to segue off of that, but it got me thinking while I'm thinking about it. Martin over in Turkey. Been talking to him about the progress that they've got going on. They're constantly. I mean, he's constantly in different meetings with people trying to talk about what they're trying to do. And the guy's doing everything he can to get his habitat funded, and that's the problem with all of us. And that's why I even said in the seasetting thing, I said, here's the problem that we all run into is funding. There's lots of people out there that have great plans, great ideas, great designs, but it's such a weird and risky thing that people are gun shy about investing into it unless they really understand the space and feel like that they're passionate about it. So yeah, a lot of people just are shying away, and that's why I think a lot of us have issues. I mean, a lot of people are just straight crazy, and there's some crazy ideas out there and crazy people doing it. And I wouldn't put any money behind, even though I'm into it. I still wouldn't put money behind them. I hope people don't look at me as one of those crazy people. That's why we don't nobody's funding it, because
inevitably there is someone that looks.
Well, yeah.
But that's what I was going to segue off of, because just the whole idea. Because I'm so landlocked, people look at what I do. They look at that I'm some kind of novelty. Like, I can never do that. So it's still not mainstream enough to be normalized enough that people, for funding or anything for that matter, it's just still, education has a long way to go with it. It really does, even with all the technology we have, to social media and everything.
And on the last short on the podcast, I talked about how the media plays a big portion in it. And I said, a year ago, and recently we had the Titan disaster a year ago. Yeah. We had the other guys, talking about going down again and trying to prove that, hey, it is safe. We've had, and that's all negative publicity that's coming out for that. But meanwhile, you've got SpaceX that just launched their Starship, which was a success by everybody's means, pretty much, which was amazing.
I was watching it.
Yeah, I was too. Yeah, it was amazing. That's like a burning up coming back down and everything. But once again, how do we generate that type of excitement? And that's the question is, until we can get the media on our side by generating that type of excitement. Even Joe Dituri, what he did. There was some excitement around there, and there was news around there, but not by the same stretch as anything that space is doing. And so how do we combat that? And I honestly don't think there's anything we can do until we do something huge. And even then, it's like, is it going to be as exciting? And it may not be, but there are those people out there that are passionate about this and that are excited about it. We have to find a way of tapping into those people and getting them to hear our 30-second elevator speech on hey, this is what we're trying to do type of thing. So that's where events like this, where we do live streams, that's the main reason we do these live streams, is to involve the people, but also it's an opportunity that we are putting our voice out there into a digital platform, whether it's shorts, this long format podcast, whatever, for people to hear what we're doing or hear what we're working on, and to join us, because really, this is much bigger than you and me, and we need as many people that are trying to help us out as possible, and in every way possible.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all I have to say about that, because anymore I start sounding whiny, I think, after that point in time.
Yeah. No, to me, no, just because.
Yeah, no, I don't.
There's enough social media that I see that's the opposite direction, So I'm always encouraged by it, but then at the same time, how many movies in the last couple of years have been like, the Jaws wannabe movies?
The Meg and stuff along those lines.
Actually, the Meg doesn't even bother me, just because it gets so outlandish. Not as outlandish as Sharknadoes, but it's still. So the Meg don't bother me. I actually enjoy the Meg movies enough, because I like looking at underwater habitat stuff. It's cool. But I can't think of all of them. The Reef, I don't know. There's a bunch of them. 49 meters, I think, is one of them, or something like that. That's like, okay, whatever. It's
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
thought
negative publicity.
completely off subject here, but it says we're talking about the Meg and stuff along those lines. My niece is convinced that the Meg still exists. She's like
Okay.
that. I said, fine, then prove it. I said, prove to me that it still exists. So she's actually seriously looking at a marine education. She's going to be a junior this next year in high school. So she's certified and she hasn't dove in years, but it's like that. She needs to get that redone.
Yeah.
But
Gonna do it.
yeah, so that's one of the things she's looking at is getting into the marine field to prove to me that Meg still exists out there.
I started laughing because when you said that, I immediately thought of someone put a little short together that says a marine biologist driving to work. This guy's driving across a bridge and then just like right off the side of the bridge into
Right to the water.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think it'd be fun. Out of high school was one of the things I thought about doing was marine biology, and then underwater welding, and then it's like, so it'd be fun. It'd be good. I said, get on with Ocean X or something along those lines and be out there doing that.
Yeah.
Then that'd be cool. And then
have you been watching their weekly updates?
No.
Yeah, they've got they got some stuff going on right now.
What's going on with them?
Just a research vessel, because do you remember, I want to say like a year or so ago, they were hiring.
Yeah.
And then, so they got these people out in the field now. And
Okay.
Sumatra, is that where they are right now? I'm trying to remember where it said their last, but yeah, they've been doing a weekly update on social media.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of, that's just a quick review of what's going on that week for them. And
cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I like I really think that they're one of those ones out there that could definitely. They actually have the financial means, but they've also got the knowledge and the publicity means too out there to really do something that could be. I mean, even the name itself, the Ocean X, SpaceX type of thing,
Yep.
that could definitely be the ocean counterpart to that. If Ray Dalio being the counterpart to Elon Musk there as well. They're both, successful billionaire businessmen. And yeah, it's one of the ones that I've tried to reach out to as well, being, hey man, how about throwing some underwater habitats out there and stuff. So, yeah, they're one to definitely follow, what they're doing. I really like what they're doing. So. Yeah, but I mean, I follow them, so I'm surprised I've missed some of that stuff. But I really haven't been on social media as much as I should have here recently. I've been busy. But yeah, I'll check that out. What else? What were we even talking about before that? When I got off my tangent about the Meg and stuff. I don't know.
I think it's just about education. People are so. Not people. I don't mean that as a bad term. It's just the population in general.
Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah.
More landlocked. As far as landlocked persons, if they have no interest, great. I'm not trying. I'm not saying you have to have an interest, but there's so many that probably would have an interest if they were presented with the opportunities and the ideas and what it is. So
I said, when I lived back in Illinois, and I was telling people, hey, here's my goal is to do this. Man, the amount of people that just straight up laughed at me in the face, like literally laughed at me in the face for wanting to build underwater habitats and live underwater. I mean, it's one of those things where, first off, part of it is probably why some guy from Illinois trying to build underwater habitats, but also just not thinking that's even feasible or possible too. I think it's a lot of it as well. So. I don't know. It's all about education. That's one of the things too, that on the website, there is a place to sign up for the newsletter, even though there's not one. It's one of those things where we're trying to build up a little bit of a database on there to eventually possibly release a newsletter, whether that's a monthly or a quarterly one, I don't know. I get reports every once in a while from the thing. And we've had people throwing their name onto the newsletter. So people are out there doing that. So we'll have to see. So talking about education, that would be one of those different areas of trying to educate people. And obviously it's not, the focus obviously is to build underwater habitats, but the education can't be just around that, because there's so much more going on out there that we need to be focusing on, that all ties back into why underwater habitats are a need. When I think a lot of people don't think it's a need because they're like, well, we got ROVs, we've got all this other stuff out there that we don't need them anymore. But I mean, as we're talking about space, the same thing can be said about that. Just send, the rovers out there. Why we need to go to the moon? Why we need to go to Mars? So it's a very similar idea. It's because as mankind, we have that desire to tangibly be an explorer and do those type of things, and it's not the same sitting behind a console looking through a computer screen at what it is versus being there immersed in the situation, having all your senses filled. Now, one day with technology that may all change. We may have chips in our head and we can be plugged in and see it just like that. But for the foreseeable future, that's probably not a reality. So that's why, and even then, if you look past the scientific research aspect of underwater habitats and the business applications, just the resort applications of having some place different to go lay your head at night and spend an evening or whatever like that. So I don't know. It excites me, at least.
We need to get the whoever the big names are at the time, so the reason I say it that way is because humanity's fickle about who they decides to be popular.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. As far as actors and stuff like that.
Yeah. So we need to get the flavor of the time to stay in an underwater habitat to make it popular, and then all of a sudden, But you're talking about that. I'm sitting there thinking with today's AI technology, and I don't know if you watched the Boston Dynamics and other Android and robot builders, and not Android, software, but Android droids, robots. Why would we need people? Why do we need people to go to Mars if you can just build that to do it? So it goes back to the same thing. It's not the same.
And one of the things I thought of back when I was a kid is the idea of, one day being able to sit in a chair and immerse yourself, and you wake up in the body of that robot, like over in Europe. And so you can explore Europe, even though you're like in the comfort of your own home, but have all your senses plugged into that. And they've even made some movies since then about that. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. I think we'll get there at some point in time. And will that be enough to appease that and keeping you safe at the same time? Because at that point in time, you can take risks because you're just a robot a billion miles away or something along those lines. Jump off some giant cliff because you want the thrill.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But yeah, I agree. Until that time, and like I say, I think that there is a need. The robots, whether they're like Tesla's Optimus or Boston Dynamics or whoever it may be, those are going to be huge as far as the workforce to further a lot of this stuff, whether it's space or underwater along. Because if you can just dump a couple of androids underwater to build you an underwater habitat underwater, because they can go to any depth or whatever like that.
Right.
It's like come back in a week and it's finished because they were just doing the job. I don't know. Same thing with space. You send a shipload to Mars to just go ahead and set up your camp before the humans arrive. All the amenities and stuff are being taken care of by this robotic workforce. So it's an exciting future. And it's like when I started on this journey, like decades ago, I thought it was exciting then. And the further we get into time and the more technology advances, the more exciting this gets, because it's like, okay, we had the technology 10 years ago to do this. Now we really have the technology to do this. Where are we going to be in another 5 years where, I don't know. It's nuts. But anyway, so with that being said, I know we've got people viewing. Nobody's chiming in right now, and that's quite all right. Nobody has to. But with that being said, I didn't really have much I wanted to talk about tonight. I just wanted to hop on here. I wanted to just shoot the breeze, talk to people, talk to you. And
Any updates on a merch store?
oh
By
yeah,
chance?
yeah.
Okay, just
I should
wondering.
work on that. Yeah, I need to work on that. I'll work on that. I'll work on that. You
No
keep
problem.
on me about that
Okay,
because
all right.
I was thinking about
My,
that the other day. I was like, man, Babe hasn't said anything about that merch store in a while. I need to probably be working on that.
yeah, but I'm starting to get some wear and tear on
Okay,
these things.
fair enough.
So, like, I should probably update a couple of them at least.
Like I said, let me know what you need. I'll just send you some stuff. We'll just do that, and then you're taken care of. It's a perks of being a Patreon member is you get freebies from me.
Freebies.
Yeah, well, you're not really free. I mean, you're investing in the vision, but which I think is a great segue.
Yeah.
Because we've got a Patreon. And so Patreon, for those who may or may not know, at this point in time, I think most people understand what Patreon is, but basically it's a platform to help. It's designed for content creators and stuff along those lines to help support them. So we have one out there. If you want to subscribe, we'd love it. It's different tiers, $5, $15, $25 a month. And it just helps us do different things, whether it's software to do live streams, the AI thing. I'm sure I'll be using some money to get that up and running. I try to use as much of my own funds to do these little things so we can keep as much in the ASC fund to further the designs and the building of the actual habitat. That was the initial goal of the Patreon, was to get enough people in there that we didn't have to worry about investors, and that we could just, Patreon alone would help pay for the indoor habitat. And it still very well could. I still would think we might have to do like a Kickstarter or something along those lines here in the near future as well to generate some more money towards that goal. But in the meantime, that's basically what we're doing. We're saving up and using money as sparingly as possible. And so join our Patreon. It's a fun time. Plus you get, different tiers. You can come and talk with us in Discord and stuff along those lines. So check it out. There's a website, patreon.com/Atlantis Sea Colony. We've got different Patreon members that have been with us for quite a while at different levels. We've got Brian Acosta, Matthew Cathy, Martin Reese, Babe, of course, Adam, who's not here tonight, and then my dad, Ron Traxler. So those are the different Patreon members we have right now. Even though I'm not listed as a Patreon member, I do as well contribute just in different manners on a regular basis. So there's that. Yeah, Sean's on here. Hey man, how's it going? Sorry I have not responded to you. Actually, my Facebook got banned this morning for some reason. No idea why. Honestly, the thing said something about duplicate account or something like that. So I'm fighting it, trying to get my stuff back. I'll respond to your messages once I get my Facebook back. But appreciate you hopping in here, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, me and Facebook. I don't know. I got a couple of years ago, my Facebook account got banned, and at that time, there's probably justification for it. But since then, I cleaned up my account, my stuff, because I was in some different troll groups and stuff along those back then. And I was doing some trolling, but since then I was like, I can't risk that again. I was like, because it messed up so much, especially with business stuff. So I said, I'm keeping my nose clean. So I have. So who knows what's going on this time? So hopefully it's cleaned up, because it's annoying all my contacts and stuff like that. Where were we? So yeah, also our website, like Babe was talking about merch. We had a merch store. I took it down because I wasn't happy with the old store and some of the stuff. We've got a much better store, but having issues with checkout. Anyway, that will be on here. But otherwise, Atlantis Sea Colony, that's a quick resource for you to check us out as far as who we are and what we're doing. We've got stuff on there about different our different projects, all of our social media links, our resource page. There's a lot of information on there, so definitely check that out. Discord, like we talked about, that's a great place to just shoot the breeze as well. We've got a lot of people in there. We got some interesting people in there, and some people that are very vocal in there. So there's always somebody around. All you have to do is chime in there. It probably won't be me because I'm not as busy in there as other people are, but somebody's going to respond to you most likely. I'll definitely welcome you. But yeah. Oh, hey, Adam's here.
Yeah, Adam's there.
This is now chiming in. Yeah, thanks, Adam. Yeah, I'm going to do something on the background here. I'm going to get my Aquanaut hung back here. Get some other stuff behind me, I think, to spruce it up.
I was thinking that big metal
Aquarius.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Ooh, that'll look good back there.
Yeah,
break the collar there.
Yeah, that's probably going to move.
Nice.
It's like right here on the wall right now, but it's got to move behind me as well. I even thought about getting a TV and mounting behind me, but I think it's going to be way too much light behind me at that point in time.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely next live stream there'll be some more. It won't be so bland behind me. But anyway, babe, you got anything else you'd like to add before we sign off here?
Yes, a sales
pitch. Okay,
honestly.
What's that?
So I'm going to appeal to dreamers as much as anything, just because I get to have that side of me too.
Okay.
So one of my dreams is to be able to volunteer or work at the coral farms, replanting coral, and I think that's just great.
Yeah.
So here's my thought. Why can't you have a permanent person for no deeper than those things are? Drop a habitat there. You step out of your farmhouse, a habitat, and go right to work right there. You're not jumping out to a boat and going back and forth. Do that for a week, and for no deeper than those things are, from what I've seen, you're not looking at any kind of a major desaturation or anything like that for it. So
and crazy. So even though no excuse, I didn't do anything with it. We made a bunch of good contacts at DEMA and at Underwater Intervention, and some of them were involved with that. And I've been going through a bunch of information here recently. Now that I got a new setup, I've got more space to work on that kind of stuff. And that's one of the things I want to get this new setup for, is not only working on the AI box, but also going through and contacting some of those people and seeing if we can't do some kind of partnership like that, especially with those, because there's several coral reef restoration programs that I follow. And I mean, all of them, there's just like, I don't know why. It's just like, it just makes me feel good. It's one of those things where I see a bunch of stuff out there, and it was just, maybe it's just the fact that it's underwater and it's just a beautiful thing and it's like that. But it's just one of those odd passions I didn't know I had until I started seeing that.
Yep.
So I don't understand it at all in me, and why that fascinates me so much, and I want to be involved in that in some way. And that's one of the other reasons for underwater habitat was always the idea was to grow coral around the underwater habitat. I mean, obviously to bring life to it, but also to be able to give back to the environment in that manner as well. So I'm with you, man. So yeah,
cool.
We'll make sure we clip that and make that one of the shorts I put out here. Is that little sales pitch right there. But anyway, so that all you got then?
Yep.
Okay. Well, hey, everybody that joined us on this, thank you very much. I know that it was kind of all over the place, but thanks for hanging in there. We do thank you very much for anybody that does watch our content, listen to our content, so like that I do appreciate that. So don't think that that goes. I watch the numbers very strictly on who's watching and who's listening as far as numbers, because I'm always curious on what's working and what's resonating with people and what's not. So please let me know in chat wherever you're seeing this or whatever, that what works, what you want to see more of, what you want to hear more of, and we'll try to make that happen. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you later.